Thank you for pressing start on episode 88 of Underplayed, KZUM's indie video game podcast. Today, we recap and reflect on the games of Season 8 and take a look ahead by planning our featured game roster for Season 9. Here on Underplayed, we review indie games of all kinds, the games with small budgets but big hearts, the lesser-known experiences with imaginative ideas. I'm Bo Poe, and I'm joined by another. He got the platinum in Going Under. It's one of his numerous claims to fame. He's the ob-tier Ib in a cooperative game. He runs like a pony. He loves pepperoni. It's the one and only DiscoCola. What's going on?
Not too much, man. My voice might sound a little bit scratchy. I was sick last week, but I'm okay right now. How are you doing?
I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm doing really well. It is such an exciting episode for both of us. I love our season finale episodes. This is the episode where we're going back and reflecting on the 30 games we played for Season 8. Then in the last, 20, 30 minutes of the episode, we'll pick our lineup of 10 featured games for Season 9 and figure out what order those games will go in for our upcoming season, which we will produce between, about January through May or so.
Yeah, that's when the episodes will be coming out.
Yes. So we'll start working on it a little bit before then. But we also want to say that ultimately the idea of comparing games in a season is pretty arbitrary. So all the games that we pick in a season, they kind of are just all these disparate games that get scrambled up together.
Yeah, it's a Denver omelet.
It is a Denver omelet, yes.
I don't actually know what's in a Denver omelet. It might be pretty bland, actually.
It is a concoction of, I'm trying to alliterate.
An RGB light redeem is what it is.
No one knows what's coming.
Inside joke.
It is an inside joke. But this is a good excuse to look back before looking ahead.
I love when we get to our little multiples of 11. And for those of you looking to the future, once we reach the threshold of 100, well, now your numbers aren't going to be, doubled up the same. Not true, because episode 100 is going to be a special standalone. And so when we get to episode 111, that'll be a season finale, baby. No one else cares about this as much as I do.
You actually went above and beyond what I wanted, which is also talking about the 100th episode spectacular, which is what I've decided we're calling it. The 100th episode spectacular.
That's fine.
So just to give people a little sneak peek, one thing we'll be doing for our 100th episode spectacular, which I think will be in June, right? Is that when it would drop?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to follow the same every other week release, but we'll drop it before season 10, which will premiere early July.
Yes. We will have lots of special lists we'll be making. We'll be having lots of special reflection, kind of like we're doing in this episode, but more as an overall look back at 99 episodes at that time. And we also will be seeking a little bit of input from you all in the form of audio messages. And what this would be is kind messages and congratulations that you might want to share with us. Maybe what indie games media means to you and what indie games in general mean to you.
Maybe even if there's games that you played because you found out about them here.
Yes, we would love that. Any kind of audio messages, we'll say maybe 20 to 60 seconds from folks. And we're going to end up working those into our 100th episode spectacular.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. Now, we are previewing this super early just to get you thinking about what you might want to say. And we will probably have a Google Drive link or something for people to upload stuff. But also, we know a lot of people personally, and we're fine with very informal
Discord, whatever.
Yeah.
If you chat with us on another platform.
Very informal methods of delivering audio to us.
As long as it's not a .webp file. I've got a bone with WebP right now.
Oh man, there's a lot of audio formats that just should be outlawed. So I know your pain, but that'll be coming up after season 9. That's a little bit down the road. So we want to extend thank yous before we get into the meat of our episode. So let's get into our list of thank yous of people who are special to us, who helped us out, who did something extra for this past season. I'll start with the first one. Matt Storm, a.k.a. Stormageddon, thank you for being our guest on the Slay the Princess episode. Matt was the first guest for the season and kicked things off really well. And it was just such a joy to have them on after we were guests on their podcast series Side Quests.
Yeah. And I know that I still, Matt, if you're listening, I know I still owe you one. I promised you one a long time ago. I haven't forgotten. I think I learned that I need to work on these between seasons is the lesson.
That's fair.
Speaking of Slay the Princess, I want to send a special thank you out to Andrew Valentine, who recorded a very special Slay the Princess inspired introduction for Matt and that episode. And it was a great pleasure to work on that in secret. I don't think, as I recall, you didn't even know I was working on that.
That was a surprise for me and Matt, and it was such a joy. I think I got to hear it a little bit before Matt did, but it was still a surprise.
I found that I really love doing that kind of covert stuff. So maybe there's more of it to come in the future.
Andrew Valentine is the host of Dialogue Tree, which is a lovely podcast about games and conversations that come from games.
Yeah.
And every episode, you don't know what Andrew's going to come up with. And it's a really entertaining show.
He does a lot of great work with audio. And if you listen to the Slay the Princess episode, I likened it to Radiolab, but for video game podcasts.
Very inspirational stuff. We want to thank Hey It's Haley, our friend from twitch.tv and other places, for being our guest on the Dwarf Romantic episode. Haley brought a unique expertise to that game, it being a video game, board game first, and a physical board game second, as we found out. And we talked about the differences between the physical board game and the video game version. And we had a lovely discussion about everything Haley does, too. So thank you, Haley.
I want to say thank you to Kara from Patch Magazine for being our guest on the Blueprints episode. We had a great chat about journalism and video games journalism, and even a special little trip into writing about audio from video games.
Yes, that was such a fun convo. We want to thank Lucy Blundell, a.k.a. Kinmoku, for being our guest on the 1000 Times Resist episode. Lucy's just so lovely and talked to us about creating One Night Stand and Videoverse, and got really passionate about talking about the narrative game 1000 Times Resist. And that was great to have from a narrative game designer.
And she did follow through and sent us a copy of One Night Stand for PS4. And actually, I was sad that I came to this recording without a surprise for you, but I do have a surprise for you.
Oh.
I totally forgot. Stand by.
Oh, okay. He's leaving the room. I'm going to leave all of this in. He's running away. He said don't. Off in the distance. Hey, listeners. How's it going? I guess this is my chance to tell you that we love you. We love you very much. Wherever you are, however you're listening to this podcast, maybe you're falling asleep to the sounds of our voices. Maybe you're driving in your car. Maybe you're on your way to work or on your way from work. We appreciate you. And every time you listen to us. Oh, here he's back. Oh.
Okay, so included in the gift from Lucy are stickers of the Videoverse dolphin.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Oh, my gosh. Incredible. This is for me?
Yeah. She sent two of the stickers.
That's great. This is a sticker?
That's not a sticker, I don't think. That's a business card.
Oh, you kept one of the stickers.
Yes.
Gotcha. This is lovely. Thank you so much. What a lovely little sticker. I am going to put this on a new water bottle I find that I want to put all my game stickers on that I've amassed, because I have a lot. I have stickers for like Stray and Cuphead and other indie games, and now I'll add this onto there. So
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Lucy, for that as well. Next, we want to thank Brian of Proto Dudes Rockman Corner for being our guest on Crosscode. We had a great conversation about Mega Man journalism, Mega Man toys, and just like how you decide how to cover, one of the biggest franchises in video games of all time. So I was particularly happy to hear Brian's top 10 Mega Man list.
That was really special. And listening to the list, I even got a little excited because I recognized some of those games. I've played some of those games with you in the past, and that was great.
And it made me want to go back and finish Mega Man Legends, which I was having fun with when I finally started playing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I just never finished it.
Did I give or sell you that game?
You sold me Mega Man Legends 2, I think.
Okay. Like years ago.
Yeah. When I was on a big run on trying to complete all the Mega Man games.
Wow. That's
which
crazy.
I accomplished for the exception of 2.
Great. Well, there's sometimes a guest that one of us is more familiar with. Brian was the one that you were more familiar with here. And immediately when we hopped on the call with him, all of my curiosities about how the conversation would go melted away because he was immediately so nice.
Yeah.
He's just
Absolutely.
a very kind guest. I want to thank Neon Hive for providing a key to Tempopo, which ended up being one of my secret games for the season, and also Evolve PR for providing a key for Fresh Tracks, another one of my secret games.
And I want to thank Cater Blossom for so long ago gifting me the game Sable, which we finally played this season. Really appreciate that you helped me get a leg up on that.
And then I want to thank some people I know personally who gifted some games this season. Kestrel 5, thank you for gifting the game Gemporium. That's a game that actually released on my birthday. And it's a game we talked about before it came out. We were both eyeing it, and then we both kind of got obsessed with it. And then I also want to thank Grant of Coffee Fame Grant, of Pour Over Coffee Fame Grant, for gifting the game Lost Nova to me. And then also my friend Rusty for gifting the game Luto, all games that ended up showing up this season. I'd also like to thank Dave Jackson for inviting me on for an episode of Tales from the Backlog featuring the game Pseudo Regalia. It was an opportunity to talk about a great game with a great host. And then also I got to talk about our podcasts on that show too. And he made some really great observations about the work we do. And it was just a great way to promote our show. So Dave, thanks for that opportunity.
It was a great episode. Had a lot of great conversation in there. Here's some inside baseball. We once did a collab with No Small Games where we played Haven, but one of the other games we almost picked was Pseudo Regalia.
Yes.
And so now I don't know what the status is of Pseudo Regalia for Underplayed, if that's ever going to appear in our catalog.
I think you'd be free to pick it as a secret game. It's always been one of those games that's like
Right on the line.
Right on the line. It's like we could make an argument either way, but we've strayed more toward let's just earmark that for a secret game. I'm not going to pick it for a secret game because I've played it already. I've made content about it. But if you picked it, I would have a lot that I could
contribute.
I could talk about with you. So
I do. I have always wanted to play it. I think the game is super attractive, and appealing. The only hesitation, of course, is the lack of console representation.
Yeah. And you tried
I
playing it on
I
PC,
started
right?
it and it ran fine, but it's still just not my preferred way to play a game.
I hope it gets ported to more things. I don't know. I think it should at least be on Switch or something.
Yeah,
but
it's weird to me that it's not already, but what do I know?
You know, speaking of Lucy Blundell, Lucy just ported Videoverse to every console, and that game's a couple years old. I mean, that could still happen with Pseudo Regalia. I'm not giving up hope on that yet, so I hope it happens. But yeah, I think you should play that. It's a great game. But anyway.
Moving on, we want to thank all of our friends who watched our individual streams and streams of Underplayed games at twitch.tv/DiscoCola and twitch.tv/Bopo, and our co-op playthrough of Human Fall Flat at twitch.tv/Underplayed podcast.
And also the people who listened to and watched the Twitch broadcasts of our new episodes when those dropped on Monday nights before the new episodes. We do offer that if you want to catch the episodes early, twitch.tv/Underplayed podcast if you want to get a sneak peek about 7 hours early and also chat with us while you're listening to the episode.
It's the time frame will move up in just one more year.
Right.
So it'll be more reasonable.
We have a busy dad among us.
Sorry.
That's never something you should apologize. And then we want to thank everyone who listened to Underplayed episodes on podcast platforms, everyone who commented on the episodes, and everyone who shared the podcast with others. A huge thank you for that.
And lastly, thank you to KZUM for allowing us to be part of the Podcast Partners program, giving us the space and equipment to produce our podcast. They are a great nonprofit radio station, and they support so many underheard voices in our community. So outside of podcasts, supporting them financially by listening to all of the great radio programs it's just the tops, man, as some used to say.
Yes, and supporting local broadcast stations like KZUM is just more important now than ever with everything that's gone on in the world over this past year.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for American politics. I appreciate it.
And we're going to move on to the big parts of our episode. But before we do, there are a few very easy ways to support Underplayed. They cost nothing. They take almost no time at all. And we would really appreciate you doing these things for us if you haven't already. One, you can give us a follow and a 5-star rating on the podcast platform you're listening to this episode on. It might be Apple Podcasts. It might be something like Spotify or something else even. That would make us appear more consistently for you and for others. 2, you can follow us across social media. We've got links in our show notes for that. And 3, sharing our podcast by reposting our stuff you see on social media and telling your indie game loving friends about us would mean a whole lot. And as always, we adore you. Thank you for listening. It's time for our Season 8 recap and reflection. So the first part of our Season 8 recap and reflection is running down the list of all the secret games we covered, all the featured games we covered, and just really quickly talking about the ratings. And we'll talk about like maybe observations we have about things specifically with the score, because spoiler alert, the scores aren't really going to matter in the next few categories. It's going to be a lot of categories based on how we feel today as we're recording. So we will address mostly the games that we played and just shout them out.
Yeah.
So, DiscoCola, what are the games you played for Secret Games this season?
This season for Secret Games, I played Moncage, Desert Child, Wilmot Works It Out, which, as a side note, I saw the Wilmot's Warehouse board game last night in a store. I don't recall that existed.
I've seen that there's a certain hobby store that is local,
yes.
I think, and I've seen it there, yes.
Okay.
I've almost pulled the trigger on that spontaneously without even looking at the back of the box.
Yeah. I will eventually. Anyways,
that's awesome. I'd love to play that with you.
Moving on. After Wilmot Works It Out in episode 81, I played Iris and the Giant. Then I played This Game Will End in 205 Clicks. I played Elsie, South of the Circle, Lunar Lux, and Penny's Big Breakaway.
My secret games from Season 8 were, in order, Tempopo, Mothman 1966, Frog Detective The Entire Mystery, Assemble with Care, Hell Clock, Gemporium, Fresh Tracks, Lost Nova, The Room 4 Old Sins, and Luto. Now, if you take all of our scores for all of our games and you average them out, your average was 8.25, very positive stuff. My average was 7.95. As you look at the games we picked for Secret Games, do you notice any trends or do you notice any score regrets you might have given to a game?
I won't say I notice any trends or anything. My whole thing is always like synergizing when and where I can, unless time no longer permits it. But as far as like score regrets, when I think back to Desert Child, I think about all of the bits that are not the music and the races, and all of that's a little bit slow, so I might bring that down by 0.5.
Sure. It originally rated it an 8, so it might be like in the 7 to 7.5 range.
Yeah, and then maybe I would bring Lunar Lux down by 0.5 as well.
And you gave that a 9.5.
Yes. And I want to bring up Elsie because of how much I enjoy it. I don't know if I can change the score because it's those bugs, man. They're pretty significant and they can't be ignored. So I want to bring it up just because of how much I, actively enjoy playing the game. But there are just some pretty significant issues there. So it's hard to say whether I would actually raise the score.
I even saw a bug the other night when you were
When I was
streaming
streaming
Elsie.
it, yeah, it was.
I saw one.
It broke my run. I had to quit.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked.
Okay, when I look at trends and regrets that I might have, Mothman 1966, I originally gave it a 7. I might go just a tiny bit lower. I might go 6.5 just because that game didn't make like a hugely lasting impression on me. And despite it being a short game, I didn't feel like marathoning it all in one go was the move. I did take a break from playing it all in one night. For trends, I'll just say I seemed to pick some really bright, happy, jovial games, and then also some really dark, violent games, like just kind of a wide swath of games. But I did try to, whenever possible, flip-flop back and forth. I guess I did crowd the last 2 games of the season with some darker games, but
Was that a conscious choice or just like
not-
I just happened to flip flop?
I think originally for the Luto slot, my 10th secret game, it was going to be something else. And I honestly, sitting here, I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't always going to be Luto.
Actually, I had a lot of not a lot, but I had some stuff that I swapped around, and Penny's Big Breakaway was actually originally going to be on a different episode.
Oh, yeah.
I was originally, I think, going to play that for maybe when I played Ooh. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah. But I love variety in a season. And I think if you just look at my first secret game and my last secret game, Tempopo and Luto, I don't think you could pick any 2 more diametrically opposed games.
Yeah, I agree.
Just
There's some puzzles. They both have some puzzles.
true. They
Nailed
both,
it.
You found the common thread. I love doing that on the show. Amazing. And then we have our featured games. We will quickly review these and talk about any score regrets we might have. So there's Slay the Princess, The Pristine Cut, then Sable, Dwarf Romantic, Rogue Legacy, Blue Prince, Moonlighter, 1000 Times Resists, Human Fall Flat, Crosscode, and Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. And I'll quickly note that your average score for all these games was 8.4. My average score was 8.05. Do you notice anything about the scores? Anything you would change?
Nothing drastic. I might bring Dwarf Romantic down a little bit. That's hard because like I don't think the game itself is flawed. It's just like not
your thing.
Not for me.
Exactly.
Is the thing.
Yeah, that happens. When it comes to things that just aren't for me, I think I appropriately rated things for me. And importantly, like our scores are always just like our scores. Like my score is my score, your score is your score. Yeah, I don't think I have any regrets or anything. No raggarts.
No,
this time.
no rag rats.
No rag rats in this section. But I just wanted to name drop all those games before we move on to our first big category. Are you ready for the first big category?
Am I?
I didn't do any prep.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Well, this is now time for the top 5 games we played this season. Our rankings of our individual top 5 list of games we played for season 8. These can be any combination of secret and featured games. Maybe my entire list is all featured games. Maybe Disco's list is entirely secret games. Or maybe we have hybrids going on. That's totally fine anyway. And this ranking is an emotional decision based on how we feel this very week we're recording. So we're disregarding our scores. If I feel like a game is my number 1 and I originally rated it a little bit lower than my number 2, we're not worrying about that. And we're going to share one game at a time, going back and forth, starting at number 5. And for each top 5 game, we can talk a little bit about it, what it accomplishes, why it might beat out other games, whether we've revisited it, or how it occupies our thoughts. So DiscoCola, what's your number 5 game for season 8?
So give me a second. I'm actually swapping 4 and 5, and I might make 5 something else here.
Whoa! It's calling an audible, folks.
Oh,
that's crazy.
I have to think about this.
This guy's crazy.
You said it this moment. These are notes that I took on Friday night, so might feel different. You know what? I am just gonna swap them. Okay. My number 5 is Lunar Lux.
Nice.
Lunar Lux is a great pixel art game. It takes inspirations from Mega Man Battle Network. and just RPGs in general. It's a shorter RPG. The completion tracker is really streamlined and takes a lot of inspiration from Crosscode in that sense. So it makes it really easy for me to see all the tasks in the entire game and decide whether or not I want to pursue completing them. And when I see that it's not that big of an ask, that makes it really easy for me to want to complete a game, which is just my favorite thing to do.
There's a carrot there you just want to keep snacking on.
Exactly.
Amazing.
So, great work.
My number 5 game of Season 8 is Slay the Princess, The Pristine Cut.
Nice.
I had a great time talking about this with Matt, and privately, and I guess I say privately in air quotes because I streamed it, but in my home where I played this game, I was just taken aback at how often this princess transforms into something entirely new and what it all means in the end. And I'm still trying to piece it together in my mind. I don't know if I need to understand everything at the end, but I think this game makes you ask a lot of moral questions, a lot of ethical questions. Every time you step into a new run, a new scenario, you're going to be met with decision points, and watching someone play this game is to study their psyche and to study their morals. And I think that's fascinating, especially if you can play it with others who are watching you. But even if you're playing it by yourself, you're going to get sucked into such an immersive experience of narrative design and great voice acting and pretty minimalist, but also very creative visuals that show that even just a small team can make a very powerful narrative experience that'll stick with you. So that's why it's my number 5.
All right. Well, I will say more about Slay the Princess in a little while. And I imagine you'll say more about this game in roughly the same spot. My number 4 is 1,000 Times Resist.
Awesome.
I mentioned this in the episode, but this is a game that I was super not looking forward to because of one of the sections that I had seen streamed, 2 of the sections maybe that I had seen streamed. I was like, this looks like a lot of walking around. It looks like puzzles with like weird language that I can't figure out. But when I played the game, there was so much more to it. There was questions about cloning ethics, and political structures and revolution. And I am just so here for revolution stories right now, and just all of the different ways that the same DNA can manifest itself in different identities is just endlessly fascinating to me.
Yeah, there are so many ways to find this game fascinating and thought-provoking. I will save more thoughts for a moment from now.
And then just on top of that, the voice performances are so varied and really just really nail all of the different personalities.
Yes, well said. My number 4 for Season 8 is Luto. Luto is a game that swings for the freaking fences. This is a horror game where you're trapped in a house, and it's a game about grief, and it's about loss, and it's about death. And it comes with content warnings that you should definitely be aware of before you pick it up and play, especially if the horror genre is challenging for you. The subject matters it deals with are heavy. But if you're okay with those things and you decide to play through Luto, you will have a very surprising, scary, and again, emotional and thought-provoking experience that might surprise you in the last third or so. There's a lot of stuff that happens that I bet given 100 years, you could never guess some of the things that happen in Luto. And not all of it honestly works for me. But is it memorable? Hell yeah. It's very memorable. And the parts that do work really were astounding. And I want to replay it someday knowing what I know now about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that someday as well. Ideally at the annual Halloween party, but
Yes.
we'll see. My next one will probably be no surprise that it's on the list. I don't know if you'll expect it a little bit higher, but it is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Whoa, I did expect it higher. Yeah.
To this day, I just want to grind on a bunch of rails, man, with my big red Evangelion-looking head. I'm just so into this.
Oh, we didn't make the Evangelion comparison yet.
I know.
That's
you
so
know,
true.
the first time I saw like a screenshot from the game, I'm like, oh, that's cool. They put Evangelion Unit 2 in the game. Who would have thought that they could pull that off? It's just what red looks like. I had no idea.
It's probably an inspiration.
But anyways, even last night, I was in the car with my wife, and I have this like playlist built of music from TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, and Desert Child, and Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and we were just so into it, and I'm still so into just the whole culture of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Yeah, you talked about how that game helped to just reinforce some of the aspects of hip hop culture and skating culture and graffiti culture, and just kind of show you that in a new way that makes you appreciate it. And I found that very cool that this goofy game about your head getting cut off and replaced with a cybernetic big red Evangelion-like head can also introduce us to those things. Very cool stuff. My number 3 is 1000 Times Resist. You were right. It's about right in the same spot as it was in your lists. Everything you said is so accurate. I think this game is just so thought-provoking. I've now played it twice. I played it a second time for our episode, and I was taking away different things from the first time. I think every time you sit down to play this, it might give you something new to focus on. And I think it's a game for our times. I also think it shows a lot about the human experience in microdoses everywhere. You'll get a little taste of like what it is to be human, even though this place is so wildly different from our reality. I think it shows us sides of humanity in new ways that really make us think about things. And it's a fascinating game to discuss too. You kind of don't know where to start when you start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where to end. You could say nothing. You could say everything. I think it's all valid with this experience, and I just highly recommend it to narrative fans if you haven't played it already for some reason.
Yeah.
What's your number 2 game?
My number 2 is the only 10 out of 10 given this season.
Oh.
As we said, it's an emotional pick, so score isn't always regarded. My number 2 is Slay the Princess.
Wow. Okay.
This game, I always knew that I would like it, but I didn't know that I would love it quite as much as I did. The voice acting in this game is immaculate and just makes the game, and similar to 1000 Times Resist, just shows the talent of the team involved, because I think just 2 individuals managed to create something like 24 different characters in, the adversary princess and the prisoner princess and the specter and the voice of the stubborn, the voice of the hero and the narrator. And so it just goes a long way with a little bit, and the art is amazing, and there's so many gruesome, unexpected turns, and I wanted to consume every bit of this game that was available, and I did just that in a hotel room, staying up until like 5 a.m, all 3 days of my trip. It was it was a great experience, and even brought me to tears in certain pathways.
Wow. Yeah. I thought it was going to be your number 1, honestly, because I knew that you gave it a 10, and I knew that it was just going to. It's
my number 1's probably going to surprise you, and I apologize. I'm not trying to like, got him. His prediction list is wrong.
Human Fall Flat.
Yeah. I shouldn't dog on them so much.
You were like, you know what? I really liked Shaking My Cake. Loved Shaking My Cake and Human Fall Flat.
Yeah.
That's 10 out of 10. Cool. Well, I'm sensing that that's all you wanted to say on that one.
I'm done. I probably could go on, but
that is fair. My number 2 is Tempopo. Tempopo has an incredibly joyous personality. This is a game that lifted my spirits in a year that has been personally very challenging for me in a lot of ways. And it just hit at that perfect time where I knew that Witchbeam's next game was coming out, their follow-up to Unpacking. I believe it's their first follow-up to Unpacking, if I'm not mistaken, but one of their first projects after a game we both love. And I was just really looking forward to it. I knew that they couldn't miss. And I just had this feeling that even though it's a very particular genre, it's maybe a little less wide appeal than something like Unpacking. It just looked undeniably fun, undeniably bright and happy. And so I ran toward this game, and I just like marathoned it. I think I only played it in like 2 sessions. I got through all 4 seasons in like a stream and then an off-stream session, and I had a great time all the way through. It's about a little girl in the clouds who is conducting these creatures called Tempopo to make the right sets of moves. And along the way, there's just tons of amazing music that I still listen to. It's some of my favorite music from all indie games. And it just made my brain feel good whenever I figured out the puzzles. And it's a little challenging at times, admittedly, but I think the game also is approachable because it gives you helpful hints that don't hold your hand too much. So I do recommend this to people who like the idea of a wholesome puzzle game. It's among my favorites of that genre.
I knew that when you talked about it in I think a Steam Next Fest recap or something, I knew after that point that you were just going to really love this game.
And I will have more to say about it in at least 2 more categories.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah, we'll get there.
My number one, like I said, is probably a surprise to you. But even though I've learned so much about myself during Underplayed, I've learned how I feel about hip-hop culture that maybe I didn't feel before. I've learned that I can enjoy longer narrative games, especially if there's voice acting to go along with it. And I've learned that maybe I do like roguelites. But one thing that has remained true at the very core of my being is that I love Mega Man and Mega Man games. And so my number one pick is Elsie.
Wow.
For the very fact alone that I have sunk more hours into Elsie than any other game except for Crosscode. And that's because I just love to play it. It feels so good to play. It feels like coming home, like we said in that episode with Brian.
I love that pick. I didn't know you would put that sheer amount of hours into it.
Just on the DiscoCola profile, which is not where I started it the first time.
Yeah.
I have like 40-something hours in it.
Wow.
Because it's just that fun for me. And, that's not counting the 13 or something on my other profile.
Right.
And like, here's something I didn't mention when we reviewed it. I have like a special save on a USB drive that is like at a lower power level, but has a lot of money. And so when you buy upgrades at the like hub area, those are automatically equipped for that run. And so I have a save where I have enough money to buy like 32 upgrades. And so I start a run with 32 upgrades whenever I want, and I can just like kill bosses in one shot.
And that feeling is so hard to find in games sometimes.
Yeah.
Even games that make you feel OP, just to have that much at your disposal is incredible.
It takes a lot of work to get to the point where you have that money, but
you've earned it.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that passion pick so much. My number one is probably not going to be a surprise. If you've been following along with my scores and my thoughts, I'm picking Blueprints, baby. This is one of my favorite indies of 2025. It's actually not my favorite indie at this current moment of 2025. There's another one.
Took it.
Something just took it.
It was like very recently.
It's actually something we will mention later. So, but anyway, not to take away from Blueprints. If you take everything Blueprints offers, its personality, the mysterious nature without being scary, the gentle nature to it, while also having this feeling of something foreboding, the puzzle aspect, the unique premise, the texture of the game, how things look, the music, all of that combined together is just like a temperament that feels synonymous with my soul. There's something about this game that feels like, this is going to sound so selfish, but I don't know how else to say it. It just feels like it was made for me. But I also know it's been made for so many thousands of people out there. Really connect with Blueprints, and I now see why. I was doubtful about this game when I first played the demo last year during a Next Fest. It just did not hit for me. There was something about this style of roguelite, building this mansion one room at a time, that didn't demo well for me. And I thought, this is an interesting concept, but in practice, I'm not sure if people will connect to this. And then it released, and it was a juggernaut indie for this year. You saw everybody streaming it. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was holding up for days at a time, just not saying anything while they scribbled notes in whatever journal they could find as they played through blueprints. Everybody comes to this game and has a different journey of experience because of all the random variables, and you end up making your own notes. You have your own journey through blueprints, and I think that's very special. It's a game I am not sure I'd ever be able to do everything in because I think it's honestly just hard to know when you can stop. I don't know if there's a way to easily know when you've done everything. And I know that I still, relative to everything it can offer, have just scratched the surface. And it's a game I'm going to revisit in the future. I've made some plans to revisit it in the future with other people, and I'm excited about that experience too. So it's one that's very rewarding to a solo player. It's also super rewarding if you are the kind of player that enjoys swapping anecdotes about things you've experienced in a game with other people. Yeah, I loved it.
I will say that even though it was definitely not going to be on my list, Blueprints is one of the games where I realized it's like, maybe I actually do like roguelites. Like I've slowly been coming to that realization, but like the roguelite part of it is the part that I ended up enjoying. The whole like extra layer of story and relationship and legacy, didn't care so much about that. But the actual like, I want to synergize all my green rooms and see if I can make it to the end.
Yeah.
That part was enjoyable to me.
And there is never one direct path to informing what you do. You can do more optional things. You can try to get those credits, but there are all these temptations to go off and do those like bonus objectives. Like I want to just craft all the green rooms. I want to specialize in that, right? So it's cool. Now, Disco, we have a fun little activity we do where we try to predict each other's top fives. These are lists we wrote down ahead of time. So how did you fare with your predictions of my top five lists?
I had all of the games right except for one, and one of them is in the right spot.
No. Slay the Prince, or no?
No, I got your number one. I knew it was Blueprints.
Oh, you knew it was Blueprints.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I thought for sure. But I put Assemble with Care at 5, which was not on your list. The one that I didn't put here was Luto. I had Slay the Princess at 4. I had Tempopo at 3, and 1,000 Times Resist at 2.
Gosh, you were so close.
I was very close.
You were very close.
I was like one off on all of them except for the one that I got wrong.
I think we kind of fared similarly because I got 4 of your 5 not in the right places. And my predictions were number 5 would be Lunar Lux. And actually, I nailed that one.
That one was right. And that was not the case when I came to the episode. So
I know.
You got lucky.
I did get lucky. So I could have just as easily gotten that one wrong. And then I thought South of the Circle would be in your list. I had it at number 4. At number 3, I had 1,000 Times Resist for you. I thought your number 2 would be Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. And I thought Slay the Princess would take your top spot. So a lot of those games in the lists, just not in the right order. Can you recite your top 5 again so we can review that?
Starting from 5, my number 5 is Lunar Lux, and then 4, 1,000 Times Resist, 3, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, 2, Slay the Princess, and number 1, Elsie.
And my top 5 for the season was number 5, Slay the Princess, the Pristine Cut. Number 4, Luto. Number 3, 1,000 Times Resist. Number 2, Tempopo. And number 1, Blueprints.
Okay, so with that, looking at all of the games we played, focusing only on secret games, we each share what we like to call jealous games, the game the other person played and reviewed that we want to play or wish we had picked. So Bopo, if you want to start, I feel like I already know.
Yeah, I think there were probably 2 or 3 in the season that I was oscillating between, but again, if I think about the kinds of games that feel like they're a good fit for me and my personality, I think South of the Circle seems like a game I would really jive with. This was actually a game I might have gotten in a Humble Bundle, so it might be in my backlog already. I just need to play it. And this seems like it's emotional in a way and narratively just kind of a little bit more complex, something that I look for every now and then. And I remember you talking about it, but I've also refrained from looking into it too much.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this season's Mutazione or Mutazione, depending on how you pronounce that, where it's a game that ends up being my jealous game. But not only do I end up enjoying it when I play it, but I end up finding it to be one of my favorite indie narrative experiences.
Oh gosh. Well, as I feel like I may have undersold Mutazione, I worry that I oversold South of the Circle. So fingers crossed that you love it.
Okay.
It does feel like more of a Bopo game than a DiscoCola game, and I still loved it.
I'll temper those expectations just a hair, but I also was between like Moncage, Wilmot Works It Out.
You would love Moncage.
And Ooh. Yeah.
You would love Ooh.
Damn. It was a hard pick, but
Yeah.
I'm going with South of the Circle, baby.
Yeah. Equally, I have ones that I considered. I considered Hellclock because it seems like a great, fun action game. I considered Luto because I just want to play it and I love those creepy vibes, but I know I'm going to play that someday anyway. But for some reason, I just really connected with Lost Nova, and I'm sure it's mostly the music, but sometimes I just love grinding for stuff, and if it's like attainable in a reasonable amount of time and is enjoyable to do, I don't mind like monotonous loops like that a lot of the time.
This is going to sound like a knock. I don't mean it as a knock against Lost Nova, but Lost Nova is the perfect turn your brain off, have a relaxing night in, playing a gentle game where you don't have to think a lot about learning new mechanics all the time, and you can just feel that satisfaction of progress.
And, honestly, I have like an exercise bike in my game room now because I'm supposed to like exercise while I'm gaming because I don't have time anywhere else. I haven't done that yet, but maybe Lost Nova can be the game that helps me with that.
I think Lost Nova is a really good exercise bike game. I propose we add a new category. Best exercise bike game.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Or we could just informally call that out throughout our seasons.
Look forward to that post-season
exercise
9.
Oh, that's a list on Backloggd now.
Oh, there we go.
Make it.
Okay.
I'm giving you the go ahead. Make
right.
it. Exercise bike indie games.
I'm on it.
That's all you're going to focus on for the rest of this recording.
No, I'm not.
Now we'll move on to underrated games or games they don't get. We don't have to pick one for this category. It's possible we don't have an underrated game, but the way we interpret this topic can be very subjective. We may mention a game, secret or featured, from the season that's something along the lines of being misunderstood by others. Maybe it has critic review scores we feel are too harsh, or maybe it's quite literally underplayed and not enjoyed by enough people. DiscoCola, did you have an underrated game for season 8?
Yeah. I could have gone with something like Desert Child here, which I feel like could just generally use more people playing it. But I'm going to actually go with Iris and the Giant because like it still could use more play. It has more plays than like Desert Child, but there's so much like going on with Iris and the Giant here. There's a little bit for a lot of different types of gamers in this game. There's strategy, there's collectibles, there's great art, there's great music. It's a roguelite. It can just be pretty addicting. And so I want more people to play Iris and the Giant. I think it's being slept on.
It's a good pick. I didn't know about Iris and the Giant at all before I saw you streaming it, and I was like, what is this game? And it always looked interesting, and I'm glad you were able to cover it on the show. My underrated game for the season, I cannot say it emphatically enough, Tempopo. More people need to play Tempopo. I'm shocked that this game released and it seemed like it just didn't get seen. It didn't get played. I could talk about so many aspects of the game. I'll focus this time on just how clever the game is. Every level in this game focuses on an idea, and sometimes you get a hint to that idea in the name of the level. So the name of the level will be a little hint at what the mechanic you're supposed to focus on is for that level. And there are 4 seasons in this game, 15 levels per season. So you've got 60 levels in the base game. And I find that every single one of those levels is clever in their own way. There's nothing that feels like clutter, nothing that feels like filler. I just think it's a banger all the way through, and I want people to know about this game and play it. And this is from Witchbeam, the people who made Unpacking. And I know that they're probably fine with all of the copies of that game that they've sold. Like financially, they'll probably be able to work on more stuff. I hope at least. But I think Tempopo deserves more recognition and just more people to play it. So please play Tempopo. Gonna rebrand to Tembopo.
There you go. There's something there. Maybe your first shirt can be a Tembopo shirt.
My first merch site shirt. Yeah. There you go.
We're gonna flip the coin. Overrated games or games that we don't get. Again, an entry here is optional, but we'll each mention a game if we have one, secret or featured, that is either overpraised by others or having critic reviews that are really generous or too high, or just seemingly being over-enjoyed by a lot of people. Bopo, do you have an entry here? And is it exactly the same as mine?
I now know what yours is, even though you didn't say it. And you know what? I didn't write down a game for this category.
Oh, interesting.
But I already know what you're going to say, and I already agree with you. So why don't you just say what yours is?
Mine's Human Fall Flat.
Yeah.
I don't get it, dude. Like, okay. I had some fun in some moments, but most of it had to do with the physics of the character itself, not the world we lived in, just the little doughboy. I found the game frustrating. I found it tedious. I found it aimless at many points, and I thought that so many of the levels were way too long with solutions that felt like almost nonsensical. Like, how in a million years would I have ever thought to do this? So I just, and again, we still have a little bit to finish. I don't think that's going to turn the page for me.
What if the last 90 minutes of this game are just so mind-blowingly amazing?
You keep saying that, but I don't think it changes what I experienced in Aztec. I hated that crap.
That's fair. I agree with everything you've said pretty much. I don't know if I'm as harsh in sharing those words, but the sentiment is shared mostly. I think you could look at this being overrated when you look at the number of copies sold worldwide. Tens of millions of copies of this game have been sold. I think a lot of that might have had to do with a particular interest in the game in China during the pandemic. Right. So that's a very outlier situation, but it's still sold many copies elsewhere, way more than a lot of our secret games for sure, and a lot of our featured games even that we've covered. So,
and there's so many. This was in our co-op category. There are so many other chaotic co-op style games that just do chaotic better.
True.
Like Ultimate Chicken Raccoon, whatever.
Yeah, Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Yeah. That one's super chaotic and you burn your friends all the time. Like, that's half of the point, but it's just, it feels so much more satisfying to play a game like that than I need to stop. I don't like to dog on games, but
if I may make an observation, something that we didn't mention in our episode featuring Human Fall Flat is that I think this is perhaps one of the earliest examples of now this term is kind of derogatory and I don't really love this term, but it's kind of like an early prototype example of the friend slop genre. Have you heard of friend slop?
I haven't, but I can imagine what that means.
These are your repos, your peaks, your lethal companies, the games where you're having quick hits of action and fun with friends. And it doesn't always mean that a game is bad. Actually, a lot of the time it means that they're fun games. It's just that you're primarily playing the game to play with someone else. And Human Fall Flat is a game that you can play with up to 8 players.
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine how chaotic that is, but this came out in 2016, and friend slop is a trend that we're seeing only recently, like as of 2023, 2024, as a concept and as a term that people are using to refer to some of these games. So if anything, maybe it was very inspirational for a lot of games we know today.
Could be.
And for games we might play in the future together for our co-op picks.
Can I ask you, there's a game that just popped into my head from a previous Underplayed episode, and it was a secret game of yours. How does this compare to something like Snaky Bus in terms of what does it feel like to play and enjoyable and how well you remember it?
That Snaky Bus is a pull. Well, it's a very different kind of feeling game because Snaky Bus is where you're controlling a vehicle that gets longer and longer, and it's always moving fast. Like your spatial relationship to the environment around you is much different than Human Fall Flat, where you're just a little doughboy and you move pretty slow. Are you asking like which one I prefer?
I guess. I don't know. I see the chaotic nature in both of them being moderately similar, as well as the way I understand your ability to control the bus. Your input while you're moving fast doesn't really change your direction very easily in significant ways.
Yeah, you can change like your steering and stuff, but there's only so much you can do to change like your elevation. You can go up ramps and things like that. There are jump pads in that game.
But even steering seems like it's a little slow. Like you have to it veers
from
more
from what I remember, yeah, it's a little bit like that. There are times where, like in the classic game Snake, there are times where, you're about to run into your tail and there are only so many seconds you have to change direction, and sometimes you just can't avoid hitting your tail. That is the conceit of Snaky Bus, but in a 3D format. So you could tell they're inspired by like classic Snake, which is Snaky Bus, right? It's like they were like, what if Snake, but in a 3D environment and you're a bus? Very easy concept to understand. Human Fall Flat, I didn't know what this game was at first based on like just the name. Like, what does that mean? I think I'd probably prefer the controls and the feeling of Snaky Bus, but it's been a couple years since I've played, right? So I think there's some jank in both games.
Yeah.
Too, to be fair.
All right.
And I think that's why I had some problems with Snaky Bus, but very good diversion. I loved that. We will move on to our biggest surprises of the season. This is where we choose up to 5. And this is where we can select from all the games we played some qualities or moments from them that were unexpected. They can be positive, neutral, or negative, and the way we interpret this category can be really subjective here. So, DiscoCola, let's hear your first surprise that you wanted to note from Season 8.
All right. I think you do yours sort of in chronological order.
I do. Yeah.
Mine, they're kind of ranked, but first, I think is the most standout, just because of how shocking it was, is what the princess does when you give her the blade in the chapter called The Prisoner.
Oh.
At the beginning of The Prisoner, the princess is shackled to the wall, not just by her hand, but also by her other hand and around her neck. And so I'll leave it at that.
I think I remember this.
I saw this for the first time in a hotel room, and I audibly said, "What the?" It was. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
So it was. It was
Shocking.
a shocking moment. It was not a bad moment. Like I don't think it was totally for shock value, just because this game is full of that kind of stuff. But very memorable moment, and then the options afterward are equally kind of shocking.
You could have picked one of several moments from that game. You could pick the whole game, but I'm glad you went with something so specific and something so like shockingly memorable. My first surprise of Season 8 is the fact that there are 60 challenge levels in Tempopo.
That is a lot of challenge levels.
You play through Tempopo and you're playing through the 4 seasons, like I mentioned: spring, summer, fall, winter. And you recognize a pattern. There are 15 levels per season. You're like, I get what this game's doing. I'm going to get through winter. And you even get credits after winter. You've done 60 levels. And then the game says, hey, did you love that? We've got 60 more levels
Good
for
God.
you. And I have not played all of them, honestly, because they're not really considered the main game. They're just optional. I'm not sure if they're as strong as the base 60 levels. They might have put the strongest stuff in that base game. I did play several, and I was just really shocked that this game gives you credits and then it effectively says, okay, now we're doubling the game if you want to like play more. I was like, whoa, I'm not going to have time to play all that for the episode because I honestly didn't know.
Yeah.
And so maybe I would have built in a little bit more time to see those levels, and maybe someday I'll get to them. But I feel like the game didn't announce that that was going to be part of the deal. And like, it's a pleasant surprise for me as someone who loves the game. So there you go.
Penny's Big Breakaway only has like 11 challenge levels. And I get Iris and the Giant has like a challenge run like that. But yeah, I don't have anything like that. My next surprise related to another one on the list, keeping that very vague, is getting decapitated 4 minutes into Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. What the heck? I'm just like playing this game. I'm like, yeah, I'm grinding. Yeah, look at my hair. It's kind of cool. Look at my shirt with the squares. And my head's gone. Could have not have expected that.
I was watching our friend Kestrel5 start this game on Twitch after Kes joined our Twitch broadcast premiere of this episode featuring Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Kes hopped onto stream and just spontaneously decided to start Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and I was sitting there like, oh man, like, oh, I'm gonna watch the reaction. And Kes's reaction to the decapitation was the exact same as mine, just like jaw dropped, eyes wide open, speechless. I share in this surprise. It's actually not in my list, so I'm glad that you represented it in yours. I share, like if I had a sixth one, it'd be in my list too. My next surprise is more of a negative one. It's the bugginess of Sable.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this game was going to perform so poorly on consoles, especially. I played it on PS5. PS5 is a very modern console. It has a PS5 version, but just because you play a PS5 version of a game on PlayStation 5, it doesn't mean it's going to run beautifully. It might not be optimized so well. Honestly, I cannot believe this game is this shockingly buggy. The game slows down the longer you play it. It crashed for me. It gets to be so unplayable that you have to quit it at some points and restart it because the frame rate drops to like 5 frames per second. It's awful. And I really liked this game otherwise. The places you go, again, the personality of it, the music, the look of the world. I love everything about this game except its performance pretty much. And so I did give a very positive score to it. It's still like an 8 out of 10 for me.
This is like your Elsie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a great way to put it. So I had no idea that that's what I was stepping into as part of the deal of playing this game. And then after I played it, I looked online. I was like, surely other people have had this happen in Sable. And there it was. Like I saw forum post after forum post of people reporting this, and I just had never heard about that.
Yeah, it should be noted here that I also played Sable, but I think I avoided a lot of those things, not because, I played it differently, other than just like my play sessions were probably shorter. Because I did run into some stuff, but nothing that really stood out to me.
So my advice for people playing this on consoles, and I think it was that some versions were deprioritized for optimizing. I think PC runs pretty well for this game. I think if you play a PlayStation version, it might not perform as well as PC, for instance. So my advice for people on consoles is play it in shorter bursts. Just be prepared to, save your game and maybe quit after an hour or two. Plan for shorter play sessions and you'll have a great time, I think. What's your next surprise?
My next surprise is what I'll just call the halfway point in 1,000 Times Resist. The story perspective changes in a really big way that even having watched streams both pre and post that chapter, I never connected the dots on what was going to happen there. And so that revelation was entirely shocking to me and made for a much more interesting story overall and really deepened my connection to a lot of the different characters that are involved in the greater picture of 1,000 Times Resist.
It's another transition in a game that you can never see coming. I never saw it coming the first time I played it almost a year ago when I first played 1,000 Times Resist. I think if I had played the game fresh for this season, that moment would be a contender for this category for me too. So I really respect that choice. My next surprise is how enjoyable Blueprints ended up being for me after I first played the demo that I didn't enjoy. I already touched on this, but I just think that this game didn't demo well for me. I didn't see the appeal, and it was only after it started getting a lot of attention that I then was super interested in it again. And I just never could have predicted how popular it'd be, and then also how much I'd enjoy it. And it ended up being my favorite game of the season. So that's pretty surprising when I go into a game thinking, this is going to be like eating an elephant, isn't it? And then I'm like devouring it because I cannot get enough of it.
My next one is actually very similar. I had mentioned that I wasn't looking forward to 1,000 Times Resist, but the game I was looking forward to even less than that was Rogue Legacy, and I ended up actually really enjoying it.
Yes, I love that you loved this.
It's one of those games that's like, oh no, I do like roguelites. That kind of sucks, but I'm having fun. And
it's medieval too.
Yeah.
You're like, a medieval roguelite. Oh, God.
Just like
gag me with a spoon.
Gross,
yes,
man. Yeah.
You're right.
But I want to find all the runes. I want to beat the challenge versions of all the bosses. And it did feel so good to play. So it was just like,
it's snappy. It's a snappy game.
The controls are tight, just like a Mega Man game. I liked Rogue Legacy, and I thought I was going to hate it.
And like Elsie, you can become overpowered after you work at it. After you put in the hours, like the game rewards you by making you feel so strong. You can just decimate rooms. You just walk through, and you're almost not even putting in that many inputs at a certain point. Like you're just swinging your sword really fast and killing everything. You don't even care what's coming at you.
You're just gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a great feeling. Another surprise for me from Season 8 is looking at the Room 4 Old Sins, how that game had discipline in the size and scale of what it offered. And I say this because I've been playing one of the games from the Room series every season for the past 4 seasons now. And in each one, 1 through 3, I'm noticing that the games are getting more ambitious. You can tell they were picking up more and more momentum as each game was coming out. People really liked these games, and they wanted to just do the next step up in each game. Getting to number 4, which is the only one I hadn't played previously, I'm thinking this is going to be just this grand, like compared to number 1, this is just going to be on its own tier, like in terms of ambition. And I think this game is really good, among the best in the series, but it's disciplined in the size of its world. This game takes place in a dollhouse. And we've previously been walking around like in the first person, clicking like almost like a first person point and click adventure in the Room 3. We're walking through a house and then choosing the rooms we want to go into. In this, we're looking at this dollhouse in an attic to select what room we go into. So it has as many puzzles roughly as past games, but what it's focusing on is just this dollhouse. And I love that concept because it's kind of going back to the first game, but it feels a little bit more like it has its own personality, I guess, with this dollhouse. And it just makes it so much more memorable in that way.
Cool. Well, my final one, and I'm realizing now that I read these in the reverse order that I intended.
I'll edit it. No, I probably won't.
Something really surprising to me is that this game, this follow-up had a narrative. And I guess the first one did have a narrative, but it was like one story point. In this game, you learn so much about your neighborhood, your neighbors, and even your own house through the character Postwoman Sam. And then when we get to see her finally take a vacation and Wilmot works it out, that's just such a surprising moment. And then you take all of that with the final puzzle in the game, and it's just, I can't believe that Wilmot Works It Out told one of the more effective narratives of the 20 games I played this season.
Yeah, that is a surprise for me just hearing about that. And it also sounds like it could be a favorite moment too, which we'll get to in a second. But my last surprise of the season is an entire section from a game. It's the entire last third or so of Luto, where you're in this psychological horror experience, and you know from watching psychological horror films and from playing psychological horror games, when you're in that kind of experience, there are no boundaries. Anything could happen. And that's an exciting thing that I chase in these games because I like being surprised. And this game really did surprise me. It does just banana sandwiches things with the art form of what it is to make a game even. And I'll just leave it at that because I want people to not be spoiled by this. I want you to experience it if you want to play Luto. Again, not everything works. It almost feels like they were throwing anything at the wall to see if it stuck. But that also means that regardless of whether I liked each moment, it was all surprising. So I have to shout that out.
Perfect. Well, those are our most surprising moments in this season of Underplayed. Next, we're going to pick our favorite moments. We'll each pick 5 if we have them, and just some of our moments that were our favorites. So, Bopo, why don't you start?
I'm now realizing how much Tempopo is in all of my categories, but my first one's from Tempopo, and it's discovering I can have the Tempopo kick each other in Tempopo. This is a mechanic that shows up in, I want to say, the summer or fall. And it's something that just intuitively came to me as I was looking at this level. I'm like, how do I get this Tempopo across this gap? Like, they'll just fall in this hole if I want them to get on that side. And there's a way to coincide their movements so that 2 Tempopo collide at an intersection, and one is facing like toward me and one is facing that Tempopo. And I realized that second Tempopo will just kick that one across the gap. And then that becomes so central to a lot of puzzles after that moment. And when I saw that Tempopo kick the other one, I was like, oh, that's amazing. The game didn't even tell me about this. It didn't even call that out in like a text bubble. It's not even like the girl we play as said something about it. It just gave me this level where I thought I have to be able to like kick them across. And I tried it. And it's such a cute animation. It's just something you'll then do so many times. So that specific thing just gave me a lot of joy.
Well, that's a surprise to me too. I hadn't heard of that mechanic.
Yeah.
For me, we mentioned this briefly, but there are several moments in Slay the Princess, so it's hard for me to pick just one. But if I point to one that just stands out, it's a moment that made me cry the most, and that would be in the chapter called Happily Ever After. I think any of us that play Slay the Princess who are in relationships or have been in relationships, especially long relationships, probably resonate with some version of the princess and the different voices. That was the one that struck me the most, that struck the chord the strongest. So I'm calling that out as a favorite moment, even though I'm sobbing, basically.
Yeah, totally valid. Like, it gave you that emotion, and how many games do that?
I just want to feel something, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next favorite moment is unlocking the boat in Dorf Romantic.
I thought you were going to say Human Fall Flat for a minute.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that level in that recording. But no, I'm going to Dorf Romantic, baby. I didn't know this game had boats. I actually knew that there were train tracks and you could put trains on there, but I didn't know about the boats. And so when, I don't remember what satisfies this unlock, but maybe it's building a certain number of tiles with water or something. You get a tile then that can pop up with a boat. And I love putting a boat on the water. It's such a joyous little moment. So yeah, it was great.
My next one, do you remember how I talked about how I'm here for revolutions in games?
Oh, yeah.
On a totally unrelated note, there is a play performance in 1,000 Times Resist, and I really loved that moment.
So good.
Just the build up to that and the actual event itself, and then the aftermath, and characters you expect to not be around are still around in dwindling capacity. It's just, yeah, I loved building up to that.
It's one place in the game where you can tell the Sunset Visitor team is really leaning on their theatrical cinematic experience. They definitely have people on their team who have that experience and are inspired by that in the game they made. And if you are a theater kid or past theater kid, that moment will be a little extra special for you. And we're both past theater kids. So yeah, that was great. My next favorite moment was the credits cutscene in Blueprints when you first get to room 46. This song that plays, this cutscene that plays, and the narration that you hear, all of it together is a moment that I honestly don't entirely understand because I don't know everything about the story yet. It's still very vague and mysterious. The lore that's in this game is just like far-reaching and ambitious. But as we're watching this cutscene, I'm just taken aback at its beauty. And I don't understand what it means really, but I just have this epic feeling watching it. I get goosebumps. I think it's just so beautiful. One of my favorite endings. And then the way the credits just cut in, coinciding with a change in the music. I think it's so artfully done. They did not disappoint with this momentous event of like opening this door that you've been working at for so long. The reward you get, I think, is this cutscene that I just found to be so beautiful.
Perfect. My next one comes from South of the Circle, and I'll just say that it's the ending in South of the Circle.
Oh.
I think that up to that point, jumping between being in the Arctic and the past is done really effectively, and even at times collides. But once you get to the point in the game where you learn more about what's happening in the Arctic and then what happens in the ending of South of the Circle, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just a compelling ending to a story, in my opinion. So that's my pick.
Making me want to play it even more with my jealous pick there. So
I think you'll like it.
Okay.
I hope. I don't know. I don't. I hate when I oversell stuff.
It's going to be my favorite game of all time.
Okay. Promise?
Anyway, moving on. My next favorite moment was when we finally pay off the debt to the loan shark in Gemporium. In Gemporium, you play as Little Mole and you go visit Grand Mole for a vacation. But you arrive to find that not only is Grand Mole away on vacation, but she has left behind a debt to the tune of 1 million glimmer, which is the currency of Gemporium. And not only does she have this debt, but she's visited by this loan shark who you have to answer to now, and you have to give the loan shark payments until you pay off this debt. And it's a stressful situation despite this game being a wholesome mining, like shop running simulator, because the loan shark keeps asking for greater and greater amounts of glimmer to pay off the principal of the loan. And so you have to buy upgrades that make your mining and your selling more lucrative. You get to the point, though, where you've bought so many upgrades that you feel like you can make tons of money every day. And when he shows up, it's likely that you won't be sweating as much. And then you're paying him off in the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands at a time. And there's that moment where you finally give him the last of the loan and he steps off and gets out of your life. And that's just great. That's a great feeling. I'm someone who loves, like paying off debt and stuff. That just gives me, it lifts a weight off of me. And so this game sort of simulates that feeling. And then we get this final moment of all of that going away. And now we can just mine to our heart's content. And I think that's a really great reward for this game that kind of stressed me out to start with. So I guess like how stressful Gemporium could have been a surprise in our last category too. Like, it's not just a wholesome game where you can take your time. You've got to go, go, go.
It's a life simulator.
It is. It actually kind of is. So when I paid off that debt, I just felt really great.
Congratulations. That's no small feat.
Thank you.
My next one is hearing the song Love Is Here for the first time as in Desert Child.
Huh.
I've heard a lot of great songs this season, some of them instrumental, some of them with lyrics, many of them in the hip-hop category. But if I picked one song that stuck with me for the whole season, it's Love Is Here by Mega Ran, Bag of Tricks Cat, Aluna, and Jared the Alien from Desert Child.
Nice. I really want to play that. Even though it like wasn't your favorite game from the season, that's been on my backlog for a while. Yeah,
I don't think it's like, even if you don't beat it, like I think you play it long enough and you get the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. My last favorite moment, and I could have picked so many moments from 1000 Times Resist. I'm going with something that happens a little bit later in the game, and it's discovering what happened to the 50 in 1000 Times Resist. So I'm not going to spoil this, but this is basically the focal point of an entire chapter. I think it's chapter 9. If not, it's like chapter 8. It's really late in the game. And we get to see what happened to the character of Iris and specifically the people around Iris after something about her was discovered and she went with this group to do an important job, I'll just say. And there are a lot of chapters in this game where we're looking at the past. We're looking at what happened. We're seeing the before and after in a lot of cases. This chapter in particular really feels like we're looking at what happened to like ghosts that are kind of haunting us almost. And it's eerie. It gives me shivers down my spine to like think about what they did, but then also just like what it was like during this event to be underground and what happened to the world in this moment. So a lot is pulled into focus in this chapter, and replaying it was even more powerful the second time around.
I think one of my favorite moments, the moment that I hyped up in the episode that I still think about a lot, is a moment of reconciliation between Emily, Citron, and Leah in CrossCode. It just goes to show you how you can communicate if you're willing to listen, even in situations that are difficult to communicate in. And on top of that, some of that's done with body language and facial expressions. And because CrossCode is so talented and great at those pixel art portraits, this moment is so effectively told, and was one of my favorite moments in any of the games that we played this season.
Honestly, those pixel portraits are some of the best portraits in games. Yeah, period.
I agree.
Yeah. Now we'll move on to our last list of 5 category. This is where we are picking our favorite characters, selecting from all the games we played. Let's talk about some of our favorite characters who are special to us. What's your first character you'd like to call out from Season 8?
It could have been a lot from this game, but I'm going to specifically pick Blue from 1,000 Times Resist.
Nice.
I share and live in her mindset of the world and all of the things that are stacked against her, and would love to be brave enough to take some of the same actions to make a better world. I don't know. I really resonate with Blue specifically. There's a lot of characters in 1,000 Times Resist that are really standout, or that I just adore. But Blue is the one that takes it for me.
Yeah, I love Blue as a protagonist. My first favorite character, I'm going with one of the personas of the princess in Slay the Princess.
Perfect.
I'm going with the tower in Slay the Princess, the Pristine Cut.
I wasn't sure, but now that you've said it, I should have known.
I'm honestly disappointed that you couldn't predict that. The tower is simply a dommy mommy that I want to step on me. It's not really all I can say. He's shaking his head. Chat, he's shaking his head.
Oh, man.
I was speechless when she showed up on screen. And also just the power dynamics that are going on. Just to say something substantive here, the power dynamics that are going on here are fascinating too. I'll just leave it at that. Play Slay the Princess.
I enjoy being the lesser power in power dynamics too, but I will say that I just am not there with the tower with you the same way.
That's fair. And even in this game, even if you prefer to be that part of the power dynamic in a lot of other situations, in Slay the Princess, you're conditioned to be on guard. Even if you feel like you're in a relatively kind of preferable situation, like you feel like anything could devolve into madness or violence at any point. So I was also on edge too. I want you to know that. I was also on edge, but it's just what an interesting blend of feelings I was having during this moment too. So all thanks to the tower.
Thank you, tower. My next one is Leia from CrossCode. I said as much in the recording of that episode, but I think she is such an interesting protagonist that comes from such an interesting origin and just effectively communicates so many different emotions at so many different times while only having access to, I think at maximum, like 10 words by the end of the game. Yeah. So just the way that saying Leah can mean so many different things, or saying bye can mean so many different things, paired with, again, those incredible portraits. Yeah, it's just, I think she's great.
The game sets up that idea of Leia can only say so many words, and you think, oh, that's just a fun little quirk, and I guess that gets them around from having to write a bunch of dialogue for our main character. Like, it feels kind of like a cop-out in a way. but it ends up leading to some very creative narrative moments. My next favorite character is not a Dommy Mommy, don't worry. I'm picking Lobster Cop from Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery.
Lobster Cop may not be a Dommy Mommy outside of closed doors.
I'll take sentences that have never been said and will never be said again for 500, please. Lobster Cop is... So how do I even set this up? Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery is a collection of the 3 Frog Detective games. And you're introduced to Lobster Cop. Lobster Cop ends up not being who you think he is, and just is a great foil to Frog Detective. And I just love his design. He's goofy, cartoony. This one's a pretty shallow pick, but I always think back to Lobster Cop when I think of this game. So there you go.
When you talked about Lobster Cop, I thought of, oh crap, I can't even remember her name from Tangle Tower.
Oh.
You know who I'm talking about, the other detective.
Detective Hawkshaw.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought of Hawkshaw when you started talking about Lobster Cop in the episode.
You know what? Yeah, great comparison. I agree with that.
My next one comes from Slay the Princess, and it is the voice of the stubborn from Slay the Princess.
Okay.
Just one of those voices that creates hilarious moments. Yeah, I just resonated with the voice of the stubborn.
My next favorite character is Maria in Assemble with Care. Maria is the character you're playing as in this puzzle adventure game where you're fixing things for people. And Maria is a favorite character of mine because she's a young person who's discovering what she wants to do and who she is after moving out of her home. So it's like kind of a coming of age story, but a little bit on the older side. She's someone who's learning to become a world traveler and is taking her talents into this town where a lot of people need her help. And so through this character, you feel like you're helping a lot of people. And I'm just in awe of Maria as this positive force and just like someone who's really easy to get behind. So I liked being able to play as this character in this game.
Nice. We love a positive force.
Yeah.
My next one also comes from Slay the Princess. I don't care. I'm picking 2.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
It's the voice of the Contrarian, which should come as no surprise. Another voice full of levity, creates a lot of moments of levity, but also is very obviously the one I resonate with the most. We've established here on this program that I like to defy authority when I am brave enough to do so, and I like to go the opposite direction of the norm.
Makes it hard to work with you. No, I'm just
It probably does sometimes, but yeah, I love the voice of the Contrarian. That's my guy.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that you didn't pick it at first, but I'm glad it was in your list still. My next favorite character is Fixer in 1000 Times Resist. We talked about this in our episode recording with Lucy Blundell, but Fixer is an early character you meet and is sort of always in the back of my mind as I'm going through the next like 5 or 6 chapters before we hear more about what happened to Fixer. I'll just say that. And Fixer's just so damn cool.
Yeah.
Like the design of Fixer is awesome. I love her personality, and it's just one of the more relatable versions of the sisters that has a really cool relationship with who you first play as in 1000 Times Resist. So it definitely feels like this world needs a fixer. And I wish, I knew a fixer in my life sometimes. So there you go.
My last one is Sam the Postwoman from Wilmot Works It Out.
Nice.
She's just a great companion, a nice neighborhood fixture, and delivers so much story. And we get to see her come out of her shell in her own way, and is just such a grounded person that I want to have in my own neighborhood. So.
Oh, very lovely. I got to play that game too. My last favorite character is Trice in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. This is a character you meet immediately. He's breaking you out of prison, and he wants to start a new gang to take over New Amsterdam so that you can become All City. And he's just cool. This guy's cool and is always present in your playthrough of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. He has really cool dance moves, and it just exudes coolness and style, and feels like someone you would look up to in a graffiti gang,
For sure.
a tagging gang.
Yeah. He's like a approachable but still stern, like older brother or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that personality in this game specifically.
Cool. Well, we're going to move on next to favorite storytelling. Selecting from all the games we played, we each pick a game with writing or narrative that sticks with us the most. Popo, what is your pick from our list of a lot of games with good storytelling?
It was hard to narrow this down, but I think it's still a pretty easy pick to go with 1000 Times Resist. It might be the obvious choice, but the way this game combines traditional storytelling with memory and poetry and visuals to tell stories, and the fact that every chapter has its own distinct storytelling style and personality, which might sound chaotic and inconsistent, it actually all works together super well. And it helps to make each act of the story feel like it has its own personality and like reason to exist. And not only are you learning about one character or two characters or five characters, you're learning about a culture of people, you're learning about the nature of humanity through this game and everything in between. And all these moments have time to breathe. I think on paper that might sound like a little too much to absorb, but when you play it, I see you typing it in the document too. I'm going to hand the baton off to you to talk about this one as well.
There were so many great runner-ups. Like it was hard to pick this over Slay the Princess and South of the Circle. I mean, even Wilmot works it out, tells story in an effective way. But yeah, this one takes it. I think what makes it the most stand out for me is the way our perspective shifts so many different times in the game in a way that feels appropriate. It's not just like, switching to a new season of television series. Like those are good points to cut off for new seasons, but it doesn't feel like such a drastic cut. Everything feels appropriately connected, and they're all things that I couldn't have seen coming. Just so many surprising moments, even like upsetting moments. Like there's even a really shocking moment with Secretary that I found really upsetting, but still like in the grand story made sense and was effective as an effective part of the story, especially as we get to the end too.
Yeah. There are some disparate aspects to the story that don't seem like they connect, but the more you examine, the more you see the through line and how things really come around to that decision at the end that you are led to, which is you have to decide what you carry forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most profound moments from the season, I think, too. I'm kind of regretting not picking that as a favorite moment, honestly. But also, I think the game explores cause and effect really well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Across generations, across many years, across 1,000 years. It does that through its very careful, long storytelling, but it also does it in small moments, just switching between the years. Remember how you could switch between time periods and just like see little snapshots of the same space, but now you're looking at it in a slightly different way with different people. There are lots of moments like that that really make you reflect on cause and effect.
You're really opening my mind to maybe why I liked it even more. Because, like, when I think about situations and even just everyday conversations, I'm thinking about how many different ways this conversation can go, and I'm preparing answers for all of them before I even start the conversation. And so, yeah, maybe that's another reason why I loved it so much. I get to see all those different outcomes.
Definitely. Now we'll move on to favorite visuals. This is selecting from all the games we played in Season 8. We're each picking a game with the graphics and visual style we loved the most. Disco, what's your favorite visuals award going to?
It's hard because it maybe should go to Crosscode, but I'm actually going to pick Sable.
Cool.
I have found that apart from like the Hyperlight Drifter sort of like bright pinks and greens and purples, Sable's kind of like my other palette taste, like the baseline.
Muted,
just whenever
colors.
when I have a game that doesn't have like energy beams, I guess. It's like I want something muted. I want those tame greens. I want beige. I want I don't know. I know that the visuals were also some of the more buggy parts of the game for me anyway, but yeah, there's just something about Sable that I've always resonated with and was like the biggest draw toward wanting to play it is the visual art style.
And I see the graphics and art direction as separate from like performance, because I think a
Right.
game can look gorgeous, but then not run very well with the 5 frames per second after you've been playing it for 3 hours. I think those are kind of exclusive things. I would point out Sable as having great visuals for the world it imagines and brings to life through visuals. The masks that people wear, the designs of those. So I think of like art direction and like places where you can go way up high in the sky and look at a vast landscape.
And there's not like too many repeated elements or anything either. It's a full ass world.
Every region is so distinct. I think of that place with all the lightning, that's very different from the spaceships we explore.
And I'm thinking of like all the desert that has like the shrubbery that like is the
Tangles.
vines,
Yes.
that are growing out of the ground.
Yes, it's a great blend of like a barren natural world with some sci-fi stuff and then like tribal stuff. And all that kind of sounds like a mishmash, but together it's done so well. I love the combination of art direction specifically and Sable. My favorite visuals for the season would have to be those from Luto. And when you first look at the game, I think you would have a guess as to why. This game is fidelity-wise just gorgeous. The production value of Luto is striking. This is a looker of a game. Looks awesome. And that makes it more immersive with all the scares and stuff. But also its other details like shadows and like shading, lighting effects, the way your eye is guided towards some things and drawn away from other things so that scares happen more effectively. So I think like there's a strategic way the game uses visuals to enhance the horror experience too. I can't believe this is Broken Bird Games' first game. Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful game.
What a debut. Cool. Well, moving on to our last one, and I said would be the hardest one for me this season.
It's hard.
Selecting from all the games we played, which was our favorite soundscape? We each pick a game with our favorite sound or music and or sound design and or voiceover performance. There's a lot to pick from this time.
Tempopo is my pick.
I guess I saw that coming.
Yeah. I'm not going to keep speaking on this endlessly, so I'll just say listen to the music of this game, and you might be inspired to play it. I just want to give that pitch. I think you can stream it on streaming platforms, and Jeff Van Dyke is the composer for other games that you might know about, like Unpacking. We loved that score, and is leaning into something here that, again, is just so bright, so uplifting, so jovial, and I needed that soundscape in this year. And I love playing this music on my streams when I'm in my starting soon scene. I play it in the background. It's just great. And also the way there are different versions of the songs depending on what activity you're doing in a level. There's a thinking version of a song where you're designing the moves for the tempopo to take. Then there's the action version of a song where you hit play and you watch your tempopo try the strategy you just laid out for them. And then there's the success version of a theme, which is what plays at the end of the level. If you get all the tempopo with all the flowers to the goal, 3 different versions of every theme for a level. And so creative. Like you see the similarities in all those, but they start subdued and they get more energetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool.
Well, I had a lot to pick from this season. And you might be expecting like one of the ones with the hip hop culture, and that's a valid guess. But for me, I'm picking Slay the Princess, the Pristine Cut, because the voice performances in this game are just so far and above so many other voice performances I've heard in games. And it's it is what makes the game for me. Like, the art's doing so much heavy lifting, the writing is doing so much heavy lifting, but the voice performances are really what takes it to that 10 out of 10 level for me. And so there are so many categories that Slay the Princess probably deserved here this episode, but I can't deny it for the incredible voice acting. I even went out and paid someone to voice act for us in the Slay the Princess episode. That's how
Inspired
important
you were.
part of a game it is.
Yeah. It feels like we always look at soundtrack first for this category.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton of music in this game that you're looking at with the soundscape. It's like a lot of it is the voices and the pained performances, the worried performances, all of the performances of the princess. It's so impressive. Probably like among the best voice acting we've ever heard.
Yeah.
So, wow, DiscoCola. Those were all our categories for season 8. We got through them all. We did it. Another season in the bag. Any final notes about season 8? Any celebratory statements?
Might be one of my favorite seasons. Also, one of the most time-consuming, but very good.
True. That is true. Well, we'll see how time-consuming season 9 is.
It's looking promising so far.
Promising in that we won't play as many longer games.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of actually specifically short ones coming up.
Okay. Well, I think we sometimes say this between these two sections, but I just want to say congratulations on another awesome season.
To you as well.
Yeah, thank you. And we will now move on to part 2 of this episode, like an hour and 50 plus minutes into the episode. We're going to move on to part 2 of this episode, which is planning season 9's featured game lineup.
Yeah, what's gonna happen next in the show? What's gonna happen next in the show? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen next in the what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen next in the show?
So, in this section where we plan season 9's featured games, it will be a slightly messy and informal process. We do have a list of vetted indie games to feature on our show, and we each need to pick some games that we want to commit to for season 9. We've each come prepared with picks we want, but we don't know each other's picks at this moment. And we also have guests planned for our next season. They have already picked games to review with us, and we have vetted all those out privately by this point, so we'll share about those in a moment. And when we pick featured games for a season, we want to aim for diversity when it comes to game length, genre, personality, maybe release year, and to the best of our ability, we'll create an order that favors variety from one episode to the next. So we won't do 3 RPGs in a row. We won't necessarily do 5 games from this past year all in a row. We kind of just look for ways to switch things up. We also really heavily look at game length.
Yes,
that's
another big one.
I know DiscoCola.
At least for now.
Yeah, I know DiscoCola has How Long to Beat pulled up at the ready on speed dial.
Actually, I should pull that up right now.
It's usually a pretty safe bet, but at least one of our featured games must be co-op as well. And since we're preparing for an odd-numbered season, it's my turn to pick a co-op game, and we vow to stream our co-op games together on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/underplayedpodcast. As we go, we'll share a bit about each game, just so that we're familiar with what we're picking. And any and all decisions made today are subject to change between seasons, depending on unforeseen circumstances. So we do reserve the right to make a last-minute change if we need to, but I think things will be pretty locked into place because our guest picks are very solid right now. I feel pretty good about the options I've brought, but I do have some things to run by you this time.
I have one as well.
I have some thoughts about arrangement and then also a game or two to play before other games and if we care about that. So we'll get to that in a moment. And if you'd like to come along with us on this journey of featured games for next season, be sure to follow us on all our podcast platforms, on our personal Twitch channels, and feel welcome to play any of these games you have access to, and share your thoughts with us as we go. A lot of you out there know us personally. You might not know us personally, and you're a fan who doesn't interact with us as much. And if you feel like it, you're welcome to share your thoughts on any of the games you've played. So Disco, I think it makes sense to jump to our guests.
Yes.
And what our guests will pick for the next season. We have 4 guests, but 5 games with guests.
How does that work?
I don't know. We'll find out in a second. So our first guest, I'll share about our first guests. Our first guest is actually the first one that we nailed down. Our friend Dave Jackson, who is a Twitch streamer at twitch.tv/RealDaveJackson, and he's the host of Tales from the Backloggd, where he invites a new guest every episode to go deep on a game to cross it off their backlogs. It's a very entertaining show. Every episode's got a different guest. I'm very impressed with him because his podcast is a weekly podcast.
And all guests?
Yes.
Oof.
Yeah, he puts in a lot of
Big
work.
work.
Yes, exactly. So he's always playing something new. He's always talking to a new interesting guest and getting a new perspective on his show. And he picked Hollow Knight Silksong to review with us. The Steam synopsis for Hollow Knight Silksong reads, discover a vast haunted kingdom in Hollow Knight Silksong, explore, fight, and survive as you ascend to the peak of a land ruled by silk and song. We reviewed the first Hollow Knight back in, was that season 2 of our show? I think it was season 2.
Yeah, I think it was the season 2 opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we finally get to follow up with Hollow Knight Silksong, and what better way to do that than to do it with a guest who loves the game. So, spoiler alert, he loves the game. We're excited to have him on.
Up next, it's not very often that we get to pull from the KZUM roster, but as it so happens, Jenny Olander, co-host of KZUM's Lavender Hill, which is an LGBTQ plus music and news program. It just so happens that Jenny plays a lot of indie games. There's not a lot of indie gamers here at KZUM, but Jenny's one of them. So we're looking forward to having her on not just 1, but 2 episodes of Underplayed, where she will be joining us for Coffee Talk and Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly.
For Coffee Talk's page on Steam, it says, Coffee Talk is a coffee brewing and heart-to-heart talking simulator about listening to fantasy-inspired modern people's problems and helping them by serving up a warm drink or 2. Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterflies Steam page says, dust off your coffee machine and prepare your warmest smile to meet your customers again in the second episode of the much-loved coffee brewing and heart-to-heart talking simulator, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. Coffee Talk Episode 2's game title goes hard. I just want to say that.
I've been cooking a lot in the last couple years, and
Yeah.
I have been just dying to make something with hibiscus.
Oh,
and I
not
haven't
butterfly?
done it yet.
Not
no,
butterfly? Okay.
No, we keep the butterflies in our cage until they're ready to fly away.
Disco's kids are highly into bugs right now. That's the background on that. But yeah, it's exciting to have someone local, someone from KZUM. That's just gonna feel like a full circle moment, kind of.
Yeah.
And just to get someone like Jenny, I think someone very unlike other guests on our show to talk about 2 different games and 2 games in the same series that we both need to catch up on. I've heard great things about the Coffee Talk games. Our next guest is Neha Patel, the composer and sound designer for tons of games, including Venba, Thousand Hells, Eternites, and the upcoming All Will Rise. Hello, everybody. We have a note up top to make here. You're going to hear us say that we picked the game Mouthwashing for Neha Patel's pick. We had to make a pivot, and we're going with Wanderstop, actually. Another game that she picked out from our list that we're excited to cover with her. And the Steam store page for Wanderstop reads, from the creator of the Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide comes Wanderstop, a narrative-centric, cozy game about change and tea. So, Disco, I think it's fair to say whenever we say mouthwashing in this segment? Just
replace it with Wanderstop, including where it's placed in the season.
Exactly.
That will remain unchanged.
None of the placements will change, just that one game, and that's the only notes we really have here. When we recap the entire list at the end, we will swap that out with
the correct updated
list. Yeah. So we'll do another cutaway, I guess, for that.
And it's, I just want to say, let me tell you, I found a really obscure secret game to go with mouthwashing.
Oh,
so I'm going to save that in my back. I had never heard of it before, so it's in my back pocket.
In your back pocket. House 2.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, we'll send you back now. Neha picked the game Mouthwashing, which has been on your list to play for a while. I know you've been wanting to get to that.
There's a physical ready now, so I'm like, now's the time. I was going to pick it if no one else did this season.
Yeah, so we're going to talk to Neha about her journey as a sound designer and composer for all these games, and then also get her thoughts on Mouthwashing, one of 2024's most impactful indies for sure.
And then our final guest for this season is Jacob Price, who you may also know as ChipTip18. He is the co-host of the Pre-Order Bonus podcast and reviewer for so many games. And he picked Journey for us to play.
I know many of you out there probably know about Journey, have played Journey, or have heard of it. It was released quite a number of years ago originally, but the Steam page for it says, explore the ancient, mysterious world of Journey as you soar above ruins and glide across sands to discover its secrets. I was talking to him about this pick, and Jacob's played a lot of indie games. He's one of those guys where, he has an encyclopedic knowledge of indie games. He also has a kind of a micro feed in the Pre-Order Bonus podcast feed called Indie Impressions, where he will often review indie games solo, sometimes with a guest. And so he's played a lot of games. He's never played Journey.
Interesting.
And so we get to be his first Journey experience.
That's awesome.
That'll be interesting, too, to compare and contrast with us who have... Wait, have you played Journey a lot?
I have played it, yeah. And I won't say a lot, but I've played it.
Yeah, I've played it through probably 5 or 6 times now. So this will be like my 6th or 7th, and it will be his first. So that'll be very interesting. We're excited to cross this like classic indie game off our lists.
Can I float a nickname here that I hope will stick?
Whoa, yeah.
Jacopedia.
Oh, he already goes by the Pixel Professor. I informally call him the Pixel Poppy.
I think I've seen that, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, can you write that down and pitch that to him? Actually, I can make that part of his rhyme.
I'm going to Jacopedia here.
Jacopedia.
We have a host at KZUM that goes by Rickopedia at times.
Okay.
It was in my brain.
Jacopedia is really good.
Yeah, I feel good about it.
I'm going to start writing his rhyme today.
Yes.
Way earlier than anyone else.
Nailed it.
Okay. And
so those are 5 games.
5 games.
That are already taken slots. And I think next would be best to find out what Bopo has decided is our co-op game, which we will stream at twitch.tv/underplayed podcast and ideally finish this time. Bopo, what's our co-op game going to be for season 9?
I just want you to know I am committed to finishing Human Fall Flat. We got to finish that.
Well, we also have to finish Split Fiction. There's a lot of stuff we have to do.
Well, Split Fiction.
That's not work related.
It's not work related, he says. But I really got to. I don't know if it's OCD, my completionist brain. I've got to.
So I have this like Excel sheet that I post screenshots from like throughout the season, and I have 2 games in here that don't have check marks in them.
Damn.
And it's like, well, now I'm just ashamed to like post my progress now.
Well, I'll help you cross one of those off.
I know. It's easier said than done.
But not the longer of the 2. That's up to you. Well, Disco, I'm picking quite a gargantuan co-op game. Tons of people have played this. This is like up there with some of the most popular indie co-op games we have played and featured. I'm going with Don't Starve Together.
Whoa, there is a lot to that. There's like so many expansions to that.
There are a lot of expansions, and I think I looked this up. I could be wrong, but my understanding is that this game doesn't necessarily have an end.
Okay.
I think we can somewhat define what we call, quote unquote, finishing this game ourselves. So I don't want you might look up the how long to beat time. I don't want you to
I don't want to do that.
I can do it for you. I tried looking up forum posts, and it was hard to understand what finishing this game entails. So that might mean that it's more about just like trying to do the best you can. But this is the multiplayer version of Don't Starve, which is another popular game that came before this. Don't Starve Together, it says main story 34 and a half hours. I don't want you to look at that and think that we have to stream that much.
Yeah, that would be impossible.
We will talk about how we want to tackle this game another time soon. Don't Starve Together's Steam page says, fight, farm, build, and explore together in the standalone multiplayer expansion to the uncompromising wilderness survival game, Don't Starve.
You know, I get a lot of like YouTube ads anytime there's like a new expansion. I'm really looking forward to the
You
art
do?
style.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think the universe is telling you got to play it.
It's been telling me that for a long time, and I wasn't listening, but now I have to.
Now you're like strapped to a chair with me. We're doing this together,
Yep.
baby. Okay, and then do you want to
Yeah, I can
share one of yours?
I can go next. Now, this is the one I kind of want to run by you because I had talked to you last night about another shorter game that we have on the list and whether or not there's enough substance there to cover it. The one I want to pick is in a similar vein, but I want to play it before we play one of our guest games.
Oh my gosh, I think you and I are simpatico right now.
I want to get Flower crossed off the list.
I am in love with you.
Was that one of your picks?
That was in my short list, and it was going to be a whole conversation I was going to plan to have with you, and I was ready to have kind of a light debate about it and like whether we should do this.
So
Yes.
if you would have said no, I would have been like, yeah, that's fine. I don't know how to have an episode length conversation about it, and I still don't know, but it's on our list, and I want to do it before Journey because I feel like if we do it after Journey, there's no way we would do it justice.
Exactly. I am of the same mind that if Flower's in our list, we need to play it before Journey, and I'm totally fine playing it in the same season as Journey. We're kind of forced to if we want to play it before. But I also had, in the past 8 hours, I had a similar thought that you had about Flower's place on our list. And I was starting, even though Flower is a very special game to me.
And it's like one of the bigger turning points in like making indies popular too.
And yeah, you shared
It's like
that.
just as popular as like Limbo.
You shared that in the Limbo episode. That has never been fully my perception of it. To me, like Limbo and Super Meat Boy and Shovel Knight, like other earlier indies, seem like they kind of stuck around in the zeitgeist a little bit more. I'm okay with Flower being on the list. If you feel comfortable with it being a game we can feature, it might be more like in the Abzu sort of range of runtime where we don't talk about it as much. Maybe we talk more about anecdotes about our experiences with it from the PS3 days and stuff, because I first played it many years ago.
Yeah,
right?
a long time ago.
So I think Flower makes sense to play before Journey. And even though I was having doubts about it being in the featured game lists, if you're into it, I'm into it too. Let's play it.
I'm more of the thought that it's in the list, so let's cross it off.
Fair.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the Steam synopsis for Flower?
Sure. Experience award-winning Flower, now available on PC. Flower lets you take control of the wind as you explore and navigate beautiful, lush environments, which is interesting because it's very obvious that you play as the wind, but I never see past like playing as flower petals. That's very clearly not what I'm playing as.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I might pay attention to that perspective a little bit more.
that helps,
this time.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's your first non-mandatory pick?
I am going to go with a sequel. There is a game on our featured games list that is a sequel, and I think playing the sequel is a little bit long overdue when you look at how long ago we played its predecessor. Okay.
Okay.
So when I say that, you still might not know what I'm talking about.
No, because I don't remember there being too many sequels in our list.
There are lots of games in our list that have sequels that will eventually like make their way onto the list once we play the first game. The one I'm picking is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair.
Oh, that scares me. I have heard this is hard.
Yeah. Let me go to Steam. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. This is what it says on Steam. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a brand new 2.5D platformer from some of the key creative talent behind Donkey Kong Country. As the colorful buddy duo, you must tackle a series of stunning 2.5D levels and explore a puzzling 3D overworld rich with secrets and surprises. Disco, when we vet a featured game, usually a featured game should pass through two gates. Typically what we see is a featured game is renowned in that it's well-known, and a featured game is also special in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could make the argument that Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, just by itself, might not pass through those two gates, but we vetted it a long time ago because it's the sequel to Yooka-Laylee, and it's dramatically different style-wise.
Very different,
It's
yeah.
a 2.5D platformer, and it's got this big challenge in it that you can attempt at any point when you first start the game, is my understanding. So the Impossible Lair, the titular lair, is something you can just attempt from square one, I think, but it's not recommended. And I think this stayed on our list simply because it is a sequel to just a big indie, an indie that's actually getting a remaster.
Yeah.
That got one this year, I think.
I think it's already out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crafted by some veterans of the platforming world too. The team that made some of the team that made Donkey Kong Country. So I felt like this thing was just kind of stagnating on our list, being a sequel to a game we reviewed way back in, what was that, season 4 or 5? I think it's time to get to this sequel before we get to some other sequels on our list. If that
Okay.
makes sense. Do you I know it's like a hard game. I know it's an intimidating game. If we have some reservations about the style, the genres or whatever, we can look at cutting this one.
Yeah, my only concern is the difficulty. And
Okay.
that's just like, well, sometimes you have to play hard crap, Disco. Like, get over
True.
it. Yeah, get good.
And like Hollow Knight Silksong is another hard game,
Yeah.
So we don't have to fill our whole list with hard games too.
Right. Okay. My next one is just one that I already know that I love, and I find it to be really special, at least to me. So I want to get it under the wire before episode 100, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally understand that.
It's possible that we have too many platformers on the list. So if that's the case, I really don't want to take it out, but I came with a lot of other options prepared. I want to pick Gravity Circuit.
Okay, sweet.
And then if you're good with that, I can read the Steam description.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Gravity Circuit is a flashy, action-packed 2D platformer in the spirit of console classics. Follow Kai, a lone operative war hero who harnesses the mysterious powers of the Gravity Circuit on an adventure in a futuristic world inhabited by sentient robots.
Love it. Oh, that's exciting. I'm actually really excited to catch up on this because I know you love this game.
I do, yeah. I won't spoil too much about the episode, but you can guess a lot just by words that I've said and how much I love Mega Man, and the inspirations here are very obvious. So
Okay, great. Well, now it's my final pick.
can I say that even just at this point, this might be one of our most diverse
Yeah.
sets of
Right.
featured games?
Definitely. You know what I'm looking at with my list and what we've picked so far? I'm looking at genre mostly.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing Metroidvania, I'm seeing like narrative focused adventure. I see an action game with gravity circuits. I see our co-op game and I see a platformer. And I'm thinking, what's missing? I guess Coffee Talk and Coffee Talk episode 2, those could also be under the simulation category. I think that's where we have them now. So I'm thinking like we could use a roguelike, we could use an RPG. It's kind of like what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So as I look at RPGs, for instance, I'm seeing things like Citizen Sleeper and the Banner Saga. Citizen Sleeper is more sci-fi focused. We've got like Gravity Circuit. Banner Saga is the first of 3 games in a series. That's like a 3-parter story. Yeah.
I pulled up one of them on How Long to Beat, and that seems very attainable, and it's a game I've been interested in.
Okay, so I'm guessing that was Citizen Sleeper you looked up.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Citizen Sleeper and the Banner Saga are roughly equal.
Banner
right?
Saga's just a little bit longer.
Okay. So Banner Saga is a tactical role-playing game. The style is kind of like a Fire Emblem game, if you will.
Okay.
Does that sound like something that you would have the energy for this season?
If it's between the two, I'd prefer the other one, but this is your pick, dude. Like,
Okay.
it's not so long that I don't think I would have time to finish it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great to
And
know.
I think if you picked this, I think I know what secret game I would pick too, which
Cool.
helps.
What's making me lean toward it a little bit more is I know there are 3 of them.
Oh,
I
so you
kinda
just want to
start-
like get
I
the
want-
ball rolling?
I want to start like knocking them out because this series first started coming out over 10 years ago. I'm going with the Banner Saga, baby.
Okay.
And the descriptor, that's where I'm at.
I love that. I want that on a shirt.
With Tembopo. That's on my merch store. The Banner Saga on Steam. It says, live through an epic role-playing Viking saga where your strategic choices directly affect your personal journey. Make allies as you travel with your caravan across this stunning yet harsh landscape. Carefully choose those who will help you fight a new threat that jeopardizes an entire civilization. So that's the last of our 10 games that we're picking. So we've got Hollow Knight Silksong, Coffee Talk and Coffee Talk Episode 2, Mouthwashing, Journey, Flower, Gravity Circuit, Don't Starve Together, Ukulele, and The Impossible Lair, and the Banner Saga. Now, Disco, I wanted to run something by you that's a little bit different than what we previously discussed. It has to do with Jenny's games.
Right.
Off recording, we were talking about, it'd be cool if we like started the season with Coffee Talk 1 and we ended with Coffee Talk Episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Having them separated feels a little like if we're going to have those 2 games in a season, to me, it almost makes more sense to maybe save them for a little bit later in the season, but have them back to back.
Okay.
So that we just commit to, this is our 2-episode special with Jenny. That way it doesn't feel like Jenny's disappearing and then coming back in a way. And it feels very intentional where like it's a part 1, part 2. It's almost like you could think of it as like when these episodes come out, it's like, this is this month's special. It's the Coffee Talk month. And it would be 2 guest appearances in a row, but it'd be the same guest. That's kind of what I was thinking. What's your reaction to that? But
that's fine. But if we do that, I demand that we do the same thing with Flower and Journey.
Okay, cool. We can do that. Now, what do you think about what the last featured game should be for like the first 100 episodes? You know, for episode 99, or sorry, for episode 98. I feel like I want to start there.
Well, I mean, the biggest juggernaut in our list is very obviously Silksong, and I think that's what you're getting at here.
I'm not actually. I was actually thinking about Journey.
Oh, interesting. Okay. You know, we could play on the words there and just be like, look at this journey that we've taken.
I know. I'm kind of thinking about that. So like, I'm almost thinking like the 9th featured game could be Flower. 10th featured game could be Journey with Jake.
Okay.
We're going on a journey with Jake. Oh, alliteration. Oh, that's going to be part of his rhyme.
Journey Jacopedia.
Oh my God, it writes itself. Let's put that in for now. Flower, and then Journey. And then that's 2 adventure games there at the end.
Real quick. Oh, did I already do this? Oh, look at past Disco. I already wrote when all of our Underplayed premieres are happening in the calendar.
What?
Look at me go.
He can't be stopped.
Okay, so if you want to do the like month special with Jenny, Jake's would be broken up into 2 different months.
Flower and Journey.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care about that. That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah. I meant like within a 30-day window or so.
Okay.
We're getting the Jenny special.
Okay. Well, if you do want to make it about within a specific month, March has 3 Tuesdays, And so that's episodes 5, 6, and 7.
Well, how about this? We could do 6 and 7, our coffee talk, and then episode 8 could be Don't Starve Together.
Okay.
Because we like saving the co-op for a little bit later sometimes.
Yep.
I had another suggestion. What about just to help space out the guest appearances? And because we're getting to the end of the year when a lot of people are thinking about the big games of the year, there's a lot of lists, a lot of award shows, a lot of reflection on the games of 2025. And we open season 2 with Hollow Knight. What if we open season 9 with Hollow Knight Silksong with Dave?
I think that was originally the plan.
Okay.
The only thing I'm worried about is that I've barely started it. And we also have another podcast appearance that I'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that when we're looking forward to doing things between seasons.
Yep.
But
So
I understand the concern.
Yeah.
Do you want to avoid the first slot, or do you think it's possible?
I mean, that's what I wanted to do. So
I'll tell you this. I have beaten Act 2, which gets you credits in Silksong, and that took me a little over 30 hours. And that was streamed. So
Okay.
so that elongated my playtime. I streamed 9 sessions.
I mean, this is what I want to do, is open the season with it. I don't know if I'll have 30 hours because I'm going out of town for both of the upcoming holidays.
For multiple days, I imagine. When would we record it, do you think?
It would be like mid-December.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, crap, yeah. Because we'd premiere in early
Because
January.
it premieres on January 6th.
Trying to think what would be a good opening game.
Well, that is the best one.
It is the best one. It's your call, dude, because you're in this situation where you haven't played it. I have. I'm totally fine with it not being first if that's what we need to do.
That's what I wanted to do, but I don't think I can pull it off. Not stress-free anyways. I think it would hurt my experience with the game.
It's fair.
Should we open with mouthwashing?
Whoa, we could.
Because that's a pretty big game. It's a game I've wanted to play for a long time.
Yeah.
And it puts a guest at the top.
Yeah.
So that they're spread out a little bit more.
I've told Neha that it's possible we wouldn't record with her until like late winter, early spring, just because we didn't know the order yet. I just prepared her for that possibility, but she knows that we don't know the exact timing yet. So I can reach out to her and say like, hey, we're thinking mouthwashing actually in the next few weeks.
Is this, and just this may be something that we come back with one of our little interdimensional breakaways.
Right. So we'll put it in for now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Then we should do a non-guest game.
Right. So that leaves Ukulele, Banner Saga, or Gravity Circuit. And I would be fine with any of
Mouthwashing
those.
is a short game.
Yeah.
So we could do Banner Saga, which is a little bit on the longer side. I also don't know how long Ukulele and the Impossible Lair is.
Ooh, I can look that up while you... I, for now, tried to lock that in, but I will look up Ukulele. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. Ooh, is listed at 13 hours?
Pretty long.
That's not what I was expecting. Okay.
Do you want that to be second?
Banner Saga is about the same.
Okay.
So either one.
Well, after that, we should... Let's see, we've got 1 guest, 2 guests, 3 guests. I guess the 4th guest could go at number 4.
We only have 1 more guest to
We need
schedule.
Hollow Knight Silksong in there. Should we
Yeah.
do Hollow Knight Silksong after Banner Saga? Or should we do it Hollow Knight Silksong at 4?
Yeah, let's just put it there. I'm sorry to give Hollow Knight Silksong such a, lackluster spot number-wise.
You know how I see it is Hollow Knight Silksong is sort of injecting more of a monumental energy into the middle of the season.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Hollow Knight Silksong also being at 4 would give a gap between the Dave guest appearance and the Jenny guest appearance.
Yep.
2 episodes later. So we could then slot...
Gravity Circuit is not 13 hours. So that's the shorter of the 2. We could put it episode 3, I think.
Gravity Circuit. I like that. Circuit, and then...
Now let's look at genres. Did we get anything too close together apart from the coffee talks and the journey?
Right. We've classified Banner Saga as an RPG. We've classified Gravity Circuit as action, I believe. We've classified Hollow Knight Silksong as Metroidvania. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair as platformer. Coffee Talk 1 and 2, I think, are actually simulation on our list, but they're also like adventure,
Right.
like / narrative. Don't Starve Together, Co-op, Flower, and Journey are both adventure.
Okay. The only thing is that Gravity Circuit and Hollow Knight and Ukulele are also very much platformers.
Fair.
But I also don't, unless we swap Banner Saga and Ukulele, I don't see how else to break that up. Or we can move
Well-
the co-op game as well.
Well, if we move Banner Saga, it creates the same order, just in a different order. It creates the same stretch of 3.
You're right.
Yeah. So I think
Um,
I'm fine with it because Gravity Circuit, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Ukulele, while all being platformers, they're all very different styles.
Okay.
And like technically, when we looked at the genres for these, we did classify them kind of differently at the end of the day. We called Gravity Circuit action, I think. I'm not mistaken on that, am I?
I don't know.
I think we called it action. We called Hollow Knight a Metroidvania. We called Ukulele a platformer. So I'm good with it. I think it's great.
Okay.
There's only so much you can do sometimes as well. Okay, it's cool.
So to run it down again,
Okay, at this point is where we will do the accurate lists here. So, DiscoCola, what is our final list?
so our final lineup will be in episode 89 will be Wanderstop with our guest Neha Patel. And then we will do the Banner Saga, followed by Gravity Circuit. And then episode 4 of season 9 will be Hollow Knight Silksong with guest Dave Jackson. Episode 5 will be Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, followed by Coffee Talk with Jenny Olander from Lavender Hill, followed by Coffee Talk 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, also with Jenny. Episode 8 of season 9 will be Don't Starve Together, our co-op game, followed by Flower. And our final featured game of season 9 will be Journey with Jacob Price from the Pre-Order Bonus podcast.
Lovely. All right, we will send you back now. DiscoCola, that's a very exciting season 9. I think there's great variety, like you said, and I'm excited about how we've structured the guest appearances and sort of the themes going on. I'm happy with it. So, I guess before we wrap up, we've been going for quite a long time. We could talk about this guest appearance we're going to have very soon on another podcast, if you want to touch on that. And then also anything you're looking forward to doing in the microscopic moment before we start preparing for this next season. You can share that too.
So in between seasons, I've already started playing some Digimon. I decided not to stream it. I might do a second profile where I do. I've decided that most of my streamings, when I do it, is going to be like trophy catch up on like LC, and I decided to play Bomb Rush Cyberfunk on the DiscoCola profile.
Hell yeah.
So I'll probably be like mostly a Bomb Rush Cyberfunk streamer for a while. But yeah, I'm going to focus as heavily on Digimon as I can because I've just been looking forward to that for so long. And I just love Digimon so much. But I am going to have to focus on and have already started playing RoboQuest, which is a game that both of us will be playing for our podcast appearance.
Yes, we're going to appear on the Rogue Pod Lightcast. We were invited to join this roguelite themed podcast, which is a really specific niche thing that I always love a podcast that has such a cool focus.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be playing that game soon and recording with them in the new year sometime, like pretty early in the year.
I don't know when the episode comes out, but that's when we're getting together.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to RoboQuest. Hadn't really heard of it before they gave us the list, and I looked it up, and we both really liked it. So looking forward to that. And then for me, between seasons, I don't even know how many of these I'll get to, but there are tons of 2025 indie games that I just want to catch up on. And the list is just like staggering, like games that I've written down that I wouldn't mind playing. And I have these ranked by like interest level.
Oh my gosh, there's so many games. I didn't even know that many games came out.
It's so many. But like I'll mention a few that I want to play.
And you streamed one like 2 days ago that you were catching up on. I can't remember what it is right now.
Many Nights of Whisper.
That's right.
I was catching up on that. But some other ones include Hades 2. I don't even know when I'll have time for that. The Root Trees Are Dead. The Berlin Apartment, that's been on my radar.
I almost picked up that one.
Yeah. It's almost out as we sit down to record. Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo.
Oh man, I keep
I know.
needing to play that.
I'll say like 3 more. The Drifter, and Roger, Possessors, the new Heart Machine game is out.
I might pick that up within the next week or two and get to it when I can, because it's, Hyperlight Breaker looks like it didn't do so hot, so maybe this return to 2D will be the ticket. I hope.
Yeah, I'm glad they were able to get this game out, because Heart Machine's been having a pretty tough time with Hyperlight Breaker and actually had to reduce the size of their team a little bit.
That was sad.
And I think they're ending development on Hyperlight Breaker. They're just kind of letting it go a little bit. So I hope Possessors does well for them, and I hope it ends up being a worthwhile experience for you. And we will call it there, Disco.
Hooray.
Hooray, we did it. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this long episode. That is the end of this episode and season of Underplayed. You can find more of our episodes at kzum.org/underplayed and on common podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Our music was composed by Jack Rodenberg. Our art comes from Onimochi. Check out our show notes where you can find and follow us across social media. Underplayed is on Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. You can also find my links down below, and I stream a variety of indie games on Twitch.
And I am at DiscoCola in many of those places, including Backloggd, where apparently I now have a list for exercise bike games, which I will add to as I play them.
And next season, we will have plenty more secret and featured games to play and review. Until then, everyone, take care and keep on playing.